It says we're live.
It lies. Okay, as always, and considering that Jonna has a UniQ cat with UniQ problems, high blood pressure, really. If you want to keep, well, just send money. Send money here. If you like coffee, and God knows we all need coffee these days, why is this not going the normal way? Talk to these guys. Let them know you heard about it here. Maybe they'll send us more coffee. Also, I'm having to hold the earbud in because it keeps shooting out of my ear. So
I don't know why you have a problem with it. I don't.
remember the whole UniQ thing?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see. It's not going to stay.
Anyway, we do have a special guest today. KC Ezell is good enough to join us shortly. And Ian is rearranging as usual.
I need to put everything back where it was.
Yeah, Nancy Fry made the dialogue cards, and many thanks to her for that. Yes, we finally got rain.
We did.
Over an inch, and we needed it badly. Yeah, Jonna has gaffers.
Of course she does.
Yes.
In both the tape version and the British slang for old folks version.
Yeah. Hey, watch it.
Anyway. I'm going to need to. Wally says that he sympathizes. I'm going to need to get a Bluetooth, some sort of Bluetooth headset because this is not going to work.
Yeah,
$30 on Amazon. So
anyway, before we get started with our interview, I'd like to mention in the form of books that Josh Amos has a new book out called "The Orphans, the Marine, and the Mastiff." It's a interesting book in that a veteran Marine who has been, yeah, duct tape works wonders. Yes. A veteran Marine who's been badly damaged in war finds out he has a 6-year-old sister and has to adopt her or she goes away, never to be seen again. And they have to deal with each other, and they are both kind of adopted by bull mastiff.
That's what bull mastiffs do.
Yeah. So interesting little book there. Well worth it. Highly recommend it. And we will now start. Well, since Mona Lisa's on here, there's been a side discussion about space regency.
Space regency, yes. We can get into that after we bring Casey on.
Mona Lisa, you're writing it already. Just keep going. And on that note, I'd like to bring in KC Ezell. Welcome, Casey.
Can you hear us?
Casey, hello. Where'd she go?
I don't know.
Crap. We just lost Casey.
Casey.
She was there for a second.
Hit the invite again?
Yeah, she had the invite. Hang on, folks. This friggin' machine's smarter than I am.
in other news, Moggy's.
Moggy's in Space 2, back in space, drops this Friday.
Yes.
Allegedly.
Yes. Stall for time, Ian.
I tap dance for time. Yeah, please stand by. Wow. No. What? Jim just went, what?
I don't know where she went. Hang on, folks. We're working on getting KC back.
Yeah, Casey's. Oh well. Again, I was tap dancing for time. We've got some really good news about the whole Oliver burn. I'd like to get into when Casey's back. This has been an interesting time. God, buddy, earbuds. Trying to get Casey on here. The scheduling has been interesting.
We had her, and we lost her.
We had her, and she went away. Casey.
She did squirrely like the rest of us.
Yeah.
So.
By the military quick fix, staple them to your head. Yeah.
the offers, I'm discovering that
There
there
she
she is.
All right,
You're
let's try
back.
this again.
No, I'm back. I'm sorry. Yeah, you guys were doing your intro, and all of a sudden, everything froze, and I was like, "Well, shit."
Yeah, YouTube doesn't like us, so
Yeah. Well,
I think we trip way too many of its filters or algorithms half the time.
I mean, bro, same.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Okay, so Casey's back. Yay!
Casey has been wandering up and down the east coast of the United States for
Yeah.
a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So for those that don't know who you are, Casey, could you give us a little bit of your background and what got you started writing?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Casey. Sorry, I was really tempted to come in with a Mel Brooks line there. But
Feel free.
Have you
yeah,
met
I was
us?
born a
Go
small
ahead.
black child. No, I was not. But I grew up reading and writing. I was one of those precocious readers who started at a very early age and then would bother my mother consistently for new things to read. And that's funny, Eric Norman. All YouTube will freeze. Yeah. So I grew up loving stories and things, and then when I was about 7, my mom put a copy of Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Drums into my hands, and that was a turning point for me for many, many, many reasons. It introduced me to science fiction and also fantasy. It introduced me to dragons. It made me want to become a dragon writer, and it made me want to become a science fiction and fantasy author. When I was around 9, we were living in the Philippines. Both my parents were active duty Air Force. We were living in the Philippines, and I was at an air show with my father watching the demo teams perform. And I had this epiphany that while dragons themselves were in pretty short supply in this version of Earth, flying aircraft was pretty damn close. And so I told my dad, I want to do that because I still wanted to be a dragon writer. He was like, really? And I said, yeah, I do. And he was like, all right, well, why don't you go to the Air Force Academy? Then I don't have to pay for you to go to college. And okay, that's what I'll do. And that's what I did. So I graduated at the class of 1999 from the United States Air Force Academy, and went to pilot training, learned as an adult that helicopters were way cooler than fixed wing and a lot more fun. So I tracked helicopters and became in 2001, I got my wings and I became a helicopter pilot for the United States Air Force. So I flew UH-1N Hueys for about 23 years. Well, I was in the Air Force for 23 years. For about 22 of them, I flew Hueys because pilot training takes about a year. And then I retired in 2022. And I started writing professionally back in about 2010, I think was my first pro sale. It was actually while I was deployed because I was friends with John Ringo at that point, and he knew that I was a fan of science fiction and fantasy, and we were friends, and he knew that I wrote because my academic background is in English and in creative writing, and he knew that, and he hit me up to submit a story for an anthology that Bain was doing called Citizens, which was military science fiction by military veterans. And he wanted to include some new voices and some active duty voices. And I happened to have both. So my first pro sale was the story Citizen, or the story Light in the Citizens anthology. It's actually under a different name because it was before I got married. So when that happened, my two great ambitions as a 7-year-old child to become a dragon writer and to become a science fiction fantasy author both came true. So
you just got a different dragon.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's about as close as you can get. At least that's what I figured, right? And because I was never going to be a jockey. That was the other thing that Anne McCaffrey said, being a racehorse jockey was as close as you could get on Earth. And I wasn't ever going to do that.
Bad idea.
Yeah. But yes, so I continued writing, retired from the Air Force in summer of 22, moved back to the United States because I retired out of Japan, was my last assignment, which was an amazing assignment and really, really cool. And then And then now I'm back here in the States. I flew EMS helicopters here in the Central Virginia region for a while, for about a year. And then my husband got this insane, crazy dream job offer. And we just moved up to Massachusetts. And I, hung up my helmet and I'm now riding full time and homeschooling my kiddo. So there's my life story. Enjoy.
And Sir Brass wanted to know what your favorite was, smaller helos or heavy lift?
So I never actually flew a technically heavy lift helicopter. The three tail numbers I have, or the three models I have time in, are the UH-1N Huey, which is the twin engine version of the iconic Vietnam helicopter. And I have most of my hours are in that. I flew Mi-17s, which are a Soviet designed Ukrainian built medium lift helicopter for about a year in Iraq. That was really fun. I did enjoy flying the bigger helicopter. It was really cool. They have a ton of power. But it's like the difference between like driving a tractor and driving a Jeep Wrangler, right? So not quite as maneuverable. Still really fun in different ways. And then last year I flew an EC-130. So in the helicopter world, EC stands for Eurocopter. So it is not the electronic version of the C-130 military plane. For those of you who are out there going, what the hell is she talking about? Yeah, EC Eurocopter 130. And it was I flew that in the doing helicopter, air ambulance, and EMS applications. That was really fun too. That aircraft was the smallest of the three that I flew. It was the squirreliest of the three that I flew. But it was also like the easiest of the three, right? Because it was just everything was really simple on that aircraft. Yeah. Plus, it had no, it's not a NOTAR, but it does have an embedded fenestron tail rotor, Sir Brass. So my favorite of all of those was probably the Huey, because it's the one I have the most time and it's the one I know the best, and it's the one I have the most affection for that reason. So
maybe the first time I've ever heard squirrely and easiest in the same sentence.
Well, it was
helicopters are different.
Yeah, and so are helicopter pilots. It's squirrely because, and this is getting real technical, so I apologize to those of you who don't give a shit about helicopters, but it's squirrely because the tail rotors are not the tail rotor pedals are not hydraulically boosted. The tail rotor on the EC-130 is what's called a fenestron. Sometimes people call it an embedded tail rotor. It's a great tail rotor. It's very effective, but the pedals on that particular model are not hydraulically boosted, and they are in the Hueys, which is what I'm used to. So that means that you have to put a lot more force in it, but you still have to judge it because you don't want to put too much force in it. And then the other thing is that it'll kick back at you because the fenestron is embedded within this vertical stabilizer, and it's like a big ass barn door back there, right? That just wants to, if you have any kind of crosswind, it just wants to kick you around. And so you have to be real kind of Johnny on the spot with those pedals, anticipating what's going to happen. So
you get a leg workout every time you fly.
I mean, a little bit. It's not heavy. It's not forceful. Yeah. It's just, constant. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah, twin engine Huey's nice.
Yeah, I loved the N model.
In a B model.
Yeah.
I've jumped out of several of them.
Yeah.
No, I love the Huey. She's a magnificent old warbird, and I'm honored to have flown her. So
yeah. So
I don't like the skids on the Huey. If you're used to jumping out of a Black Hawk, half the time you'll kiss the skid jumping out of a Huey.
Just get better.
When you jump. Don't jump up, jump out.
Right. Just get better at jumping.
Yeah.
Wow.
Army, what can you say?
I am outnumbered today. So
some of us are smarter than jumping out of airplanes, yes. Or helicopters for that
The
matter.
recruiter promised me that girls like guys who jumped out of a perfectly good aircraft. He lied, but that's what recruiters do. So KC got cross-connected to us by way of an instant message sometime back. Mm-hmm. I had asked, where were we? I think it was MarsCon, right?
Well, MarsCon's where I met you in person for the first time. Right. Yeah.
And I had asked if you would like to do send us a story, and you were busy, and I completely understood. Mm-hmm. You up to your hips and gaiters. And then it's like, okay. So I'm going along my happy little way, and I get an instant message from KC some months later. And it started out with, I don't have time to edit. I can't actually do this. I said, I'll take it. And thus, Or All Will Burn was born. Could you tell us about how that got started? I'm kind of interested in my own self.
Yeah, sure. So I co-write a series called The Romanov Rescue with Tom Kratman and Justin Watson. Well, the series is called the Turning Point series. The first book in it is Romanov Rescue. And it's an alternate history series that postulates, what changes if some of the Romanov children are actually rescued and manage to kind of reestablish an imperial Russian presence that unites the anti-Bolshevik factions in the Russian Civil War. Because a lot of people don't know this, but Nicholas II abdicated. When he abdicated, he only abdicated for himself. He did not abdicate his entire line. So there would be legitimacy for one or some of his children to inherit had they lived, right? But that's neither here nor there. The point is, I have a group chat with my co-authors, and we were talking in the group chat about I don't even remember what. I think it was like supply lines, going down, and what is the, how is that going to affect our lives? And obviously the like worst case scenario, if supply infrastructure is so bad, is that people can't get life-saving medications for their children, for example, insulin. Now, I don't have a diabetic child, but I could postulate that, like, if I did, I would break many laws and hurt many people if necessary to get my kid the insulin that she would need in order to survive. We were kind of what ifing, as authors do when we talk about that. And then I said, I was like, in the end, I think I said something along the lines of, the bottom line is my children will survive or all will burn. And Justin vehemently agreed with me. And I just thought, wow, that's number one, it's a pretty cool line. Go me. And number two, like what a concept, right? Like, what won't you do to keep your children safe, regardless of whether it's, chaos or just another Tuesday or whatever. So that sort of sparked the idea of, well, let's see what people would do if that was the theme of the story of, parents will do whatever it takes, and for me, just to clarify, the definition of the word parent, I'm not necessarily just talking about biological parents or step parents. I'm talking about anybody who takes responsibility for the well-being of a child.
We went with the same concept.
Yeah, in this context, your parent could be, I don't know, your neighbor who survived but who is taking care of you because everyone else is dead, right? So anyway, that's I had this idea and I was like, man, that would make a really cool anthology. I absolutely do not have time to edit an anthology. Who do I know that's doing cool anthologies? Hey, Ian.
Yep, I'll take it. And I told Casey earlier, so I guess I get to tell the rest of the world. We currently have enough story for book 3.
It's because you guys are so awesome. You guys, audience.
A whole bunch of folks were saying, well, we'll get a book out of it. I'm going, yeah, we're Raconteur Press. We'll get 2 books out of it.
Well, I don't know. This particular one hit such a hard nerve.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the backroom discussions about this particular one have been, people are digging up some pretty serious stuff, and they're digging up some pretty lighthearted stuff too. So we're getting this weird slingshot effect in our stories, which is actually kind of good because it balances them out. But Courtney's been she's chortling away and having the best time putting this together.
Some of them I can't read.
Yeah, some of them are really hard. I have to say,
they're good. We got a.
We don't have a reject yet.
We got a bunch of really good stories, and Kelly dug deep down into his subconscious.
Several people did.
Yeah.
And there's some really astoundingly good ones. So we just have to go to 3. There's just no way around it.
And they're still coming in. We told folks that we would close the submissions for book 2 on December 1st. We haven't hit November yet.
Yeah.
And we're ready for book 3.
Yeah.
So if y'all want to keep sending us stories, okay, we'll take them. We'll take them.
Yeah, Rick brings up that there was a survey apparently done of 100 women about what they would or would not do, including kill to protect their offspring. And quite a number of them said they would not kill to protect their offspring.
How odd.
Huh?
How odd.
I don't think you
Exactly.
know, though. You know what I mean? I don't think
That
you
was-
know.
That was the
until-
point I tried to make.
Yeah.
Is nobody is going to know until they are put in that situation.
I think the only
And
the
then
only
all bets
caveat,
are off.
yeah, well, true, but also the caveat to that is I know that I would kill to protect my offspring because I've already decided that. I've
Yeah.
already made that choice, you know? So if you've made a conscious choice that yes, I will, or no, I will not, then when the moment happens, you don't have to decide. You know what I
Right.
mean? But if it's not something you've thought about, then I don't think you know.
Well, and I look at it the same way I look at a lot of these surveys about gun ownership.
Yeah, a lot of people lie.
A lot of people lie on purpose.
Well, not
Yes,
only that, but
also
a lot
that.
of folks, and this is odd to me because this has never been an issue for me, is they never thought about it. Now, Casey has, Jim has,
Yeah.
but a lot of people have never thought about what they would have to do. I
Yeah.
wrote a story on my blog some years ago about a young lady that I had written one of these long meditation things about everybody's got a monster inside of them. And one of my readers, local lady, she's moved since then, but she was local lady, young lady, and she said that surely I didn't think there was a monster in her.
Mhm.
And I said, are there any children that you are particularly fond of?
Mhm.
And she said, yes, she had a niece that was
Yeah.
just the apple of her eye. I said, I want you to think that you're locked in a room with that niece and Jeffrey Dahmer. She says, I don't. I said, there's a hammer on the table, and if you don't do something, he's going to disassemble that child in front of you and eat her. And she looked at me for a second and said, hey, look, monster.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People don't think about it.
Well, they don't. I mean, a lot of people don't live in. We're incredibly lucky in our society that we don't live with immediate threat to us for the most part. Those of us who've lived or grown up in the military or have dealt with that kind of thing, we've already faced that decision.
Yeah.
And if you don't face that decision, you find out interesting things about yourself in the moment. So,
Sometimes that's a bad time you find
and that's a bad time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you know, here's something else, another angle of thought for you. The word monster has negative connotations, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think a monster is someone who lets their child die.
Oh, yes.
You know what I
Very
mean?
much so. Oh,
I
very
mean,
much so.
Savage, sure, I'll be savage. Beast, absolutely. Fucking nightmare, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Monster,
Mama bear.
that's up to you. You know.
Yeah.
When it
You got
when
to
it
admit
comes-
that beating somebody to death with a hammer kind of edges over onto the monster side of the scale.
then maybe, well, I guess maybe I'm a monster because that,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
There's one inside everyone. You may not know it's there. And I made the point a long time ago that you need to haul it out and look at it. Because everyone has a monster, and if you deny that you have that monster there, if you don't face it, when it finally does come out, you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Eric brings up a good point, too. You may have noticed the main push in mass media is to prevent people from thinking ahead and extrapolating consequences.
Oh, yes.
Well, and actually, David makes a really good point too. He says just because someone has decided they would kill to protect their loved ones doesn't mean they actually have the ability to go through with that decision. Many people freeze in the moment, and that's where training comes in, right?
Yep.
That's where training yourself to respond under certain stimuli is important. So,
Yep.
Well, and so you've got to haul it out and look at it, because if it comes out and you're not used to it, it can be a bit shocking to people when the monkey brain gets loose. It can be really, it's a major cause of what we call critical incident stress.
Yeah.
Is dealing with your body's natural reactions and the chemicals that get shoved in your bloodstream. It's having to deal with those, and under stress when somebody's been hurt is a major cause of critical incident stress.
Mhm. Well, that and the adrenaline dump after it's all over, too.
Or during.
Huh?
Not the adrenaline so much, it's the endorphins. The
Yeah.
endorphins will really screw people up.
Well, for
So-
me, it was always the adrenaline dump and the shakes.
The shakes are not necessarily what screw people up. I mean, you're shaking. That's not it's endorphins, beta endorphins.
Yeah.
Bloody earbud. Beta endorphins have a morphine analogous effect. Well, it's endogenic morphine.
Yeah.
40 times greater than actual morphine. And they're what produce the runner's high. Well, in the middle of a critical incident, when you've just beaten somebody to death with a hammer, those endorphins are flooding your brain and you have a high.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people, subconsciously or not, that have just killed somebody, which is the ultimate sin in Western culture. And they're feeling euphoric. And that screws people up.
Mhm.
That screws cops up a lot. On to more cheerful things.
Sorry, guys.
Most of the flush are on here somewhere.
No, this takes left turns all the time.
Yeah, it does. I get off on soapboxes and then they have to pull me off. I do
Well, I
soapboxes a
cut the
lot.
soapbox out from under you, but
Mona Lisa Foster's on here somewhere, and
Yes.
she has brought up something that I think Casey is perfect for.
Yeah.
Mona Lisa wants to read more Space Regency.
Yeah.
Casey?
So it's funny that you say that because I was actually chatting with Mona Lisa about 30 minutes ago about that very thing.
why
I
does this
also
not
read,
surprise me?
yeah. So Mona Lisa is one of my very good friends, and I
She's a
also
sweetheart.
I also read her her Substack article about Space Regency, and it's I texted her and was like, "Hey, I just read your article. I fully agree with all of it. And fun fact, my current work in progress, the space opera that I'm developing, is 100% perfect for this because in this space opera, actual genetic bloodlines matter for reasons, right? Not just metaphorical reasons, but actual physical, scientific reasons within the makeup of the universe as I've set it up. Yeah, I'm on board. Let's do some space regency, you guys.
Creating another genre.
Yeah. One more genre. What's another genre?
Right? Let's do it. You know, we guys should
We've
do a
already got
space
Tactical
regency
Romance.
anthology.
Yeah, I'm relatively sure John didn't hear that because nothing came flying my way. So
I'm on delay, but I will tell you we have space in November. So
Like next month, November?
November a year out. Casey.
November 2024.
That's perfect. Mona Lisa, yes, you absolutely did start something, my dear.
So November 2024, the Mona Lisa Chronicles. Anthology book 1 of 15.
Oh my gosh.
Raconteur Press.
or we can make it the second one in July with the All Will Burn 3. So pick one.
I choose November so I have time to contribute a story.
Casey says November, so she has time to contribute.
Okay, let's do November.
And congratulations, this is how things get done at Raconteur Press.
Really write it down. I kept space in November on purpose, so
Yes, I know.
so we'll see whether or not this turns serious and go from there.
Mona Lisa, I know you heard that. I'm going to need a story in November 2024.
So there's a question in there that says, would Cedar's Pixie series be Regency? So I have not read Cedar's Pixie series, but I think it would be important. I think it might be important actually to talk about a few things that make something Regency, right?
I actually have no idea what makes Regency. Rita watches Regency themed. I'm guessing that the Jane Eyre and stuff like that is Regency.
Well, technically, John Van Stry's new book classifies as Regency.
So traditionally, Regency. The reason it's called Regency is because it's set in England during the period of the Regency of George III of Mad King George,
just past Victorian, right?
Prior to, because George III was like Revolutionary War time.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jane Austen is often considered like the harbinger, or the not the harbinger, but the exemplar of the genre, right?
They discovered
Yeah.
Egypt.
What's that? What she
Jonas says it was bad dresses. They discovered Egypt and
1811 to 1820.
1811 to 1820. 9 years?
Oh, so it isn't George the Third then,
Okay.
or is it?
Okay.
I guess it would be. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, I know it's got to be George the Third because it's
No,
the Prince
it's
Regent, right? Anyway,
No,
it is George Prince of Wales.
right,
Because
was the
his
Prince
father
Regent.
was mad. George
Was
George,
Third was
it
mad.
was
Yeah.
George
So-
III's kid.
So it's
George
right.
III's kid.
George the Third's kid was the Prince Regent. He was the regent for his son or for his father, who was
Or
mad.
dad.
Yeah.
'Cause
So it's
your dad was-
post American Revolution.
Right.
Yes. Anyway, and it is pre-Victorian. Yeah, because that's just how time works. The point is,
And you
it's
can extend it to like 1795 to 1837.
right.
Yeah.
The point that I'm trying to make is one that Nancy Fry just said in the comments. In this context of space regency, we're talking about regency romance set in space, right? The thing to remember about that time frame is that most regency romances really deal with this custom of the nobility and the well-to-do in society bringing their children together at organized, for the season, which was a period of time where there were organized functions like balls and races and the theater and things like that for them to like meet and mingle and make marriage matches that were going to be acceptable to the families.
I'm not sure I can write that. There's not enough
So-
explosions.
Yeah.
So I mean, but that's kind of Mona Lisa's point. It's like, well, could there be space? Depending on how you structure your space-borne society, there could be very good reasons for why you would have to have that tight. You would have to control your children's, dynastic plans that tightly. And
A Mote in God's Eye had the setup for that sort of society, if I remember correctly.
you are quite possibly correct. I don't know the answer to that.
It's been a while since I read it, but I seem to remember there was in the early parts when they were they hadn't gone to the off the nebula yet. There were the young folks had to have chaperones, and they met at parties and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Padre 0875 said Lois Bujold has done this as well. That was the other thing I was going to bring up was Lois McMaster Bujold's Barriar series is very much along those same lines. It's like, all right, there are groups of people who have to make marriage alliances for reasons, and for reasons those marriage alliances have to be controlled pretty tightly. And as is always the case when you mix human emotions and human desires with the mandates of other external forces, whether those be parents or society or just another person, you're going to have conflict, and that conflict can be in fact very interesting. And so there can be explosions, Ian. It's but the interpersonal conflict is a lot of times where that stuff, where you make the money in those types of stories. So
Rita's going to have to write down, because interpersonal conflict to me involves knives.
why wouldn't it involve knives? You could involve knives.
Jane Eyre with knives would have been a lot. I could actually probably sit through that.
You would not be the first author to write a story about people being stabbed over love, right? In fact, I'm pretty sure it's happened a few times in real life.
Yeah.
Cop for 26 years.
Yeah. Elizabeth Moon.
We can always discuss the Thanksgiving forking over the dinner.
Yeah. So anyway, I definitely think space regency would be very interesting, and I think it would be a lot of fun, because one of the things that's fun to play with that sort of regency environment is, what are the rules and mores of society, and how does your character get around them, or how does your character work within them, or what are the consequences for stepping outside of them? Because those stepping outside of those consequences has to be disastrous in order to drive the action of the story a lot of times.
Yeah. That's why I said John's current book actually fits that.
I haven't read it yet.
Even though it's space battles.
It's on my table, but on top of the 40-foot pile of things to be read. Wow. That's going to be very intricate for an 8,000-word short story.
Yeah. And somebody said Dots is tactical romance is
Mhm.
basically Regency.
But it's show don't tell. You don't have to
Yeah.
define the whole world.
Yeah.
You show it. You don't tell it. So
Yeah.
This could be a
Or-
very interesting. This could be a very interesting volume.
Or you establish the world building and as part of the parameters for the anthology. You say,
Yeah.
this is the society. This
Yeah.
is
There's
what
another
happened.
one to write in.
Write your
I
story.
actually like this. This is okay.
Actually, let
Have Mona
Rita
Lisa help
write
you.
it.
Oh, Rita's gonna have to write it. She
Rita
loved,
and Mona Lisa.
oh God. No, let's get separate stories. I don't want those two.
No, let them create the world.
I don't like doing the shared world stuff though.
Why?
It limits the authors. If you have to
Yeah.
write within the shared world, that's a personal thing because I've tried to write in other people's worlds and I don't do well. We may have to sit down and talk about this. So we've got Casey and Mona Lisa and probably Rita. Courtney would do a great one. So that's 4 right there. We need 6 more, folks. All right, guys, y'all in the chat. We need 6 more authors to sign up for this.
Now, Brian, the hamsters aren't running; they're burning.
This could be really. And I've been trying to get away from. We've got a bit of a reputation for military science fiction or hardcore science fiction. I've been trying to get away from that. We're doing stuff like Weird West and steampunk in 2024. So this fits, bloody earbuds. This fits right in. I like this. Thank you, Casey.
Don't thank me. It was Mona Lisa.
I like this.
You're as bad an instigator as she is, Casey.
I mean, I am, but I didn't do it in this case.
Right? Sure.
You're the one that made the comment that we need to do an anthology. So
The challenge will be if your audience is conditioned to expect a lot of mil sci-fi shoot 'em up types of stuff, the challenge will be getting that audience interested in space regency. So
well, that's one of the things we've started breaking out of our confinement, so to speak.
Yeah.
With Pin Up Noir and Moggies in Space.
yeah,
Which a lot more lighthearted, hairballs. So, and then with the steampunk and the Weird West and some of the others we've got planned, I think this will do well. I think, I like
I will
this.
say that that's kind of a space we've been missing in our goals for next year. Is we didn't have something that was that sort of genre.
Mhm.
So I mean, we were trying to hit all the notes when we were putting together the list. So that fills in a nice spot.
It does.
So
Also, Ragnarok Price gets known for inventing a genre.
Yeah.
So
hmm
I like it. Let's do this. Yeah, as soon as you said we
Says
should
the
do
guy who just has to stand out front and
look pretty, that's my job. As soon as you said we should do an anthology, it's on you.
did I say that? I don't remember
You
saying
did.
that. I don't know.
You
I think
did.
I said you should do an anthology.
I heard it as we. I heard it as we. I like the we part. Yes, I like this.
Yeah,
Oh.
Padre 0875. Absolutely, there is a space for the veteran returning who's trying to fit back into society story. 100%. Because again, what you're talking about is a clash of societal rules, right?
Well, if I
War
remember
has one
correctly,
set of rules coming back to a quote unquote polite society with very strict behavioral standards would be very interesting. And some of my favorite regencies actually do play with that a little bit because they talk
they
about
have the returning traveler.
right. They talk
who's
about
who's
coming back from
a company in the Far East and he's coming back with money.
or just on the
talk-
continent, or
Yeah.
some of them even dealing with like the Napoleonic stuff. Yeah.
And we've all lived that.
Like I said, Rita loves that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and because I love her, I sit and attempt to watch it, but I usually zone out. I'm usually doing fighter pilot stuff in my head, but some of it did kind of stick. And the gentleman of means who's been in Central America or the Near East in a company seems to be a recurring trope.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that definitely. Yeah, heck, I
I
like
remember
this.
the way we were treated coming back from Vietnam. I didn't like that worth of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So-
different when you come back. The things
Yeah.
that you think are so important, some of them are still important, but it's just different. And that's
Yeah.
an interesting thing to play with in stories. So
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we can do that.
Courtney, who
Somebody
the
said
fuck is saying your chopped liver? I
would
feel like I
never
need to
say
punch someone in the
my
face.
editor in chief is chopped liver. I don't know that. I don't know if y'all need to go anywhere near Hornblower in Space because I believe David Weber has that one locked down.
Yeah. It's called Honorverse.
Exactly. Which I guess would be, now that I think about it, might be Space Regency ish.
Yeah, it
Kind
is.
of.
It has elements of it. Certainly,
Yeah.
like the court sequences and stuff. I felt like there was a lot of Regency influence, I guess would be a way to put that there.
Yeah, I think we need to do this.
Hansinger with Aubrey and Maturin. Yeah, that'd be another one.
So Regency in Space. Y'all need to discuss this in those.
I will sit with Courtney and we will get it figured out.
No, I'm talking to the authors that can talk amongst themselves, like the Alpha Mercs.
Well, and like Mona Lisa said, just put up a list like what Casey was talking about, rather than a shared world.
Just say it's gotta include
This is-
these elements.
Yeah.
These are the tropes that are required.
Yeah.
I'm just the Alpha Mercs doing Space Regency just tickles me pink.
Yeah, Sir Brass, that's a good point. David Drake's RCM series.
I don't know.
I hadn't thought about that.
I don't know that I know that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hammer Slammers. The Hammer stories are what I know Jake for.
Yeah, he wrote another series.
He wrote
RCM
a lot of
series.
books.
Definitely is.
Okay.
RK, why am I not surprised?
Yeah, right. So, what is on the table for you in the future other than sending us a Space Regency story?
Well, let's see. The third noir anthology that I co-edited with Larry Correa comes out in January. That one's called Down These Mean Streets. It's available in eARC now on Baen.com if people are hankering for their fix. That one's got some really, really, really great stories in it, and I'm really, really proud of it. It's I'm proud of all three, but of the three, I think this one's the best one. So it's kind of exciting to finish off the trilogy on that note. If you can call it a trilogy for anthologies, I don't know if that's a thing, but maybe we'll make
We
it.
do all the time.
Works.
Yeah.
We do all the time.
So that's cool. That writing group that I mentioned before of myself, Tom Kratman, and Justin Watson, we are putting the finishing touches right now on the sequel to the Romanov Rescue. So it's as soon as we can finish those finishing touches and get that turned in, it will get scheduled. I am hoping for late in 24 is when we'll see that one coming out.
Now, that's through Baen, right?
That is also through Baen, yes. The working title is Sapphire and Iron. If anybody was at LibertyCon and heard my reading, I actually read a selection from it, and it's it has some impactful moments, and I'm really excited to see how that one is received going forward. So that's what's going on with Baen. On the indie small press side of the house, Chris Kennedy and I are we are 3/4 of the way through book 2 of a space opera series that I alluded to before. Book 1 is already done. I wrote that earlier. We're going to finish book 2. We're going to write book 3, and then we're going to release them all 1, 2, 3 together. We are aiming for next, like late spring, early summer, for those to come out. So the series is called Ashes of Anticia. So keep an eye out for that if you are interested in that. And Yeah, and then I'm also working on a little sword and sorcery project that I'm just doing on spec. I don't know where I'm going to sell that one yet, but I can't not work on it because it won't leave me alone.
Know this feeling.
I know how that goes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with.
And that's not counting what you and Marissa are cooking up on the side, probably.
Well, yes. So for those of you who have seen our hints, Marisa Wolf and I wrote. We co-wrote our story for All Will Burn, and it is actually the very first story to see the light of day from a fantasy world that she and I are slowly developing. Now, she is as busy, if not more busy, than I am right now. So neither of us is working on a novel in that universe actively. Yes. Right, actively. What we've decided to do is write a few more short stories that will end up being backstory and like legends essentially once we get to the point in the timeline, or once we get to the novels. So the novel timeline will be well post all of these other things happening, and the story in All Will Burn is actually, it's pretty cool because it's kind of a foundation story, like of their society foundation. So so I hope you guys like it. It was really fun to write. Writing with Marisa is always a joy. She and I work very well together. And yeah,
she's a sweetheart. She really is.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah,
y'all ain't right. I'll just say that right now.
Why would you say that? Our story is not nearly as dark as some of now I haven't read a lot of them, but from what Courtney has said, our story is not nearly as dark as some of the other ones.
No, it's not. But y'all obviously let the muse run free on that one.
And that's perfectly okay. That's what we do.
And talking about the muse, as you've alluded to, and I think all of us get stuck with this sometimes. You get a story that just won't let go of you.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're supposed to be writing, you're stuck with that friggin' thing till you get it out of your head one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which is great, right? Because it usually ends up being something awesome. Yeah. Courtney, I think, will appreciate this space opera, or no, the sword and sorcery that I'm writing. It is either a sword and sorcery masquerading as a reverse harem, or it's a reverse harem masquerading as sword and sorcery. I'm not sure which.
Oh boy.
Well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Damn, things falling on my ear again.
Yeah, RK actually ended up, we're getting ready to come out with the Oil Patch Anthology benefit for the library, hopefully in the next week or so. And she actually wrote a second story from the Haunted Library Anthology to finish off the character.
Yeah.
The character wouldn't leave her alone.
Yeah.
And it actually fills in very nicely. As you said, it gives that story backstory.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. It is 100% awesome. So.
But yeah, we're hoping to get that one. We had tried to get the actual 1930s print of the Burnett oil fields, and Metro Camera here locally actually has it, but they can't find it because they don't know which hard drive it's on and what they called it. So, but Cedar just finished up the cover this morning and sent it to us reviewed. Did a beautiful job as always.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Good stories from everybody. Sandra Medlock contributed to this one too. So
she's so talented.
Yes,
and she's also good people.
I she really is.
And so, if people are wanting to meet you in the paint, what cons will you be going to in the upcoming year?
Right. So the next one that you can find me at will be MarsCon in Virginia Beach. Yes, that's a true statement. Yes, Virginia Beach in March. I am hoping to. I've applied to be a guest at Fantasy in Durham in April. I haven't heard back yet, but I am hopeful that they'll be interested in having me attend and do panels for them. I will also be at LibertyCon in June. So I am actually this year's Mistress of Ceremonies. So wish me luck with that, because those are large shoes to fill. Chuck Cannon. But so yeah, so I'll be at LibertyCon, and then I won the Hunger Games this morning and got a Western room, so I will be at DragonCon in at the end of August, beginning of September of 24.
Outstanding.
So MarsCon, Fantasy, LibertyCon, and DragonCon, guys. If you want to meet Casey in person, and she's a sweetheart, those are the places you need to go.
Yep. And just don't worry about what Chuck did. Y'all are two entirely different personalities.
No, I know, but he was so epic as a master of ceremonies. It's like that's the
He sets the bar, doesn't he?
yeah, right. But I think it'll be fun.
I'd like you to know that I actually looked for the tiara when I got in here. Couldn't find it. I was going to wear a tiara for this because Casey, I couldn't find my tiara.
It's around here somewhere.
I know, in amongst probably under the bits of Cecil.
So I was, to be clear, I was not the first person to start wearing tiaras on like social media. That's not like a me thing. That's
No,
just
but
a
you made
thing.
it famous.
I assure you, I did not.
No, you definitely made it a thing. At least around here. I have no idea where it is.
I don't know.
What are you looking for?
But I was going to wear a tiara.
Right there.
No, that's not mine. That's Casey. Or
Oh, there's the giant one over there.
no. Where's a little plastic one with a little foo-foo on it?
Oh, it's in the toy box.
I looked.
Yeah, no.
I have a nasty case of fidgets when my mental squirrels are running away. No,
Oh, honey, no.
that's
you don't get
a
this one.
cedar.
This is my tiara. See, this is my gigantic. That's
Yes,
some
That's-
hairspray.
that's a
appropriately
I
so.
did hairspray. And
Yeah.
So people send me stuff to fidget with, and
Mhm.
I've learned to do it below the camera. I have been fidgeting this entire time. So they
That's
sent me
okay.
stuff
I'm
to
playing with
fidget
my sweatshirt string the same way.
And so they sent so many that we've actually got a box over here that's got stuff for Ian to fidget with.
It's awesome.
Because if I'm not fidgeting, I'm rocking back and forth, and John starts yelling at me.
Yeah.
My chair.
I have to put up with this every time.
Fidget. I've actually learned to do it below. I'm fidgeting this thing the entire time. Because if I'm thinking, my hands start doing things. That's not
Yeah.
always a good thing.
You should learn to
Oh.
knit or like crochet or something.
I would stab somebody.
That
Well,
one
that's why
too.
crochet uses hooks. Learn to, John, and teach him to crochet so that he has something to do useful with his hands.
She
You
said,
created more work for me, so
she said that you should teach me to crochet, so I do stuff with my
I don't
hands.
do string.
She has to do string.
Oh, fair. Okay.
When it becomes fabric, we can talk. I don't do string.
See, that's what I have to put up with.
But that's what fabric arts were for years and years and years for women. It was a way
Yeah.
to do something useful with your hands while you were conversing with other people.
Yeah. Because they didn't have TV back in the day. They didn't have newspapers, and all they could do was talk. So
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, it was a very efficient use of time.
I don't have time for TV.
Right.
That's one of the things that amuses the hell out of me when it comes to experts. Expert being a drip under pressure. There was a archaeological find. I think it was a kiva out in the southwest, and there were obsidian blades up in the rafters.
Hmm.
And the experts all said there was ritual significance, purifying the kiva, and all this.
no.
And somebody who was a knitter said, no, that's where the ladies were putting the blades out of the reach of the kids so they could trim and then put it where the kids couldn't grab it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
Damn.
funny.
Earbud.
Weapons maintenance is something else for the guys anyway.
Yeah, but y'all get twitchy if I start breaking stuff down on the table.
I don't.
Well, no.
That's what I'm
Some
saying.
people-
Learn to crochet or tatting. That was a suggestion in the comments. You can make beautiful
think-
lace for Jonna to put
Yeah.
on her fabric.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to tattoo Jim.
Not tattooing, tatting.
Tatting. Tatting.
Okay.
She has plenty of examples of real lace you could look at.
Yes, I do. I have a wonderful collection of antique laces that some that my mother made and handmade all kinds of beautiful things. So
I'm
Right.
trying to remember the pro football player that got into needlepoint.
Oh,
Oh,
there's several of them.
yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Big guy.
Yeah. He was a
Rosie
line-
Greer.
Rosie Greer, yeah.
He got into
Oh, here.
needlepoint.
Yes, he did needlepoint.
He did
That was-
fantastic needlepoint when he wasn't destroying the opposing team on the, and
When-
getting thrown off for
Yeah.
violence.
Yeah, it's strange some of the side things that people get involved with. That
Well,
was
and
one of the
It's not so. It's actually not so much strange. It's just that we have a stereotypical version of what people should be doing.
Yeah.
It's one of the unconscious stereotypes that's still acceptable in current society.
yeah,
Is-
but you look at
If you're
the
Rosie
people
Greer with-
we had this weekend. You know, some of the segues those people have done.
Hmm.
Keith going from professional musician to audio to
Yeah.
major power distribution.
well, it's
You know,
a simple-
how do those things connect? You
the
know?
simple fact that most of us are creatives and we do squirrely things.
Yeah.
And nobody is. It's. I don't know if it's a case of somebody told us we couldn't do something. We went, Spike is a good
Yeah.
motivator, or it's like we just didn't notice and did it anyway.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, I mean, we fiddle with things, people say that's an ADHD trait. And, I think ADHD has been a part of humanity. We're just now calling it ADHD. But I think that's just how certain brains are and have always been. And so you find something to do with your hands that you can do while your conscious mind is
Elsewhere.
focused elsewhere. So
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the people I hang around with because I hang around with some weird ducks. But the number of folks that I hang around with ADD is the majority of them have ADD. So I'm
Mhm.
starting to wonder if having attention deficit disorder isn't neurotypical.
right. Yeah, no, I've wondered that myself.
Because, like I said, I think Jim's the only one that I know that doesn't have a attention deficit disorder.
Now, because
John-
I got it beat out of me as a child.
John has got it. Courtney's got it. Rita's got it.
I do not have ADHD. All of you guys do, and I need to put it in the water cooler. Because I'm capable of actually getting everything done on time. So,
John swears she doesn't have it.
no, I do not.
Okay. Okay.
I'm staying the hell out of that discussion.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I want to thank you for joining us today, Casey.
It was
Thank you
delightful.
guys
Thank
for
you.
having me. This was a lot of fun. A
And,
little all over the place, but a lot of fun.
We've actually stayed on the rails a lot better than we normally do.
Yeah.
We've actually kept on track, which is really odd for us.
Yeah, but really appreciate your coming on and appreciate everything that you do for the writing community and especially for the women in the community.
Oh, thanks.
Well,
Yeah.
You've literally been one of the leaders in this generation. And I think a lot of people don't realize that.
I'd like to thank you for running the all will burn up our flagpole.
Well, thank
This
you guys
is-
for making it happen because it was an idea that again wouldn't leave me alone, and the way in which you guys have brought it to fruition is amazing. So
Well, they did it. The authors in the comments, the ones that did it. We
Yeah.
just said,
Well-
here you go, run.
but I mean, like the staff at Raconteur, right? Like Cedar and her beautiful covers, and
Oh.
Courtney and her attention to detail and her editing, and just let me just take a moment and point out, I don't think that I could have taken on the emotional load of reading all of those stories.
Right.
Courtney is a fucking badass, and the fact
Yep.
that she could carry that load and still, do a professional edit on all of it is worthy of congratulations and admiration. And Courtney,
No
you have
kidding,
both
right.
from me. So
Everybody I hope has seen the cover for the one we've got out right now. The cover for the second one is every bit as spectacular. Now I'm really looking forward to what Cedar does for the third one. The third all will burn. That's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see. Be very interesting. So, anyway, thank you both for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for being here. It was great. It really was.
Yeah.
No.
And enjoy the time with the kids. And
Thanks.
hope your daughter has fun. Be looking forward to seeing the pictures of that costume.
Yeah, it should be a good time. So,
All right. Take care, Casey. Have a good
You
week.
guys.
See you,
Bye-bye.
Casey.
Okay.
And
We have wasted another hour of your time.
hour and 40 seconds.
Oh.
Yeah,
Not
you
that
can
we-
tell Casey's military. It's like, we're going to do an hour. Done.
Yeah. Some of us don't have a problem with that.
I beat that out of me about 3.2 seconds after I ETS'd.
Yeah, Cedar is their very own Michael Whalen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does some beautiful covers. And Cedar just came back in and says, I can list again just as it ends. All
All right, folks, we're out of here.
right.
Y'all be safe.
Have a good week. Remember, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.